Yep.
Lauren, are you all set? Everything good?
Let me know when you bring me in so I can use my.
Lauren?
I am here.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure you're all set. Everything's good on your
Yeah,
end?
I'm all set. I had headphones in and just, I saw your mouth kind of moving, but yeah, I'm all set.
Okay, so the, let's see, yeah, I don't know, I keep getting these messages from people who can't find the Zoom invite. Can you send it to Kurt Miller?
Sure thing.
No, hang on, Rich.
Well, I don't have my email.
Oh, all right. Yeah, if you could send it to Kurt Miller, Laura.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'll send him another copy of the agenda.
All right, and no, just the invite. He's on his phone at a funeral.
I don't have the invite.
Hold on, let me, do I have to stop sharing to get a copy of the
We're also live on YouTube.
copy? I got copy streaming link.
No. Well,
I can just send them a regular email. Oh, that's a different link?
Yeah, go to your participants and then invite. And then you should get like copy invitation.
Nuts.
And you should get options when you click on invite.
Yeah, I know. Oh, message blinks up top.
Oh. No?
That's just a chat.
Here, I'll just team it to you. You can copy from there.
What are you gonna do?
Teams.
Yeah.
Are you gonna let in Edmond and Pete Hessen? You can let them know what's going on.
No, not yet. I know.
Okay. Well, I'm letting staff know.
Seriously? Oh, shoot. All right. Pain in the ass. It's his.
Staff, turn off your cameras. Please.
We have. Okay, you can let everyone in. Ten o'clock.
Yep.
Is everyone coming in?
Working on it?
No, I'm just asking. Can you put? Morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
The copy of full, you have the revised, you say revised?
I don't think so.
Okay, this is the revised agenda. It has one new item on
It does say revised.
it. Okay, then you're good. I have, who's Suzanne's and Sarar?
That's Sarah.
Sarah R?
Sarah Radish.
Anthony?
I have a Tony Sorella from Malone Macaroon. Okay, so that's him.
Got a phone guest?
509 is Bob Chatfield. So Mike, you can move on over.
Yeah. Thank you.
You want to mute?
You're on, right? You're on.
I'm right in the mistake. Mhm.
Thanks to everyone who's hanging on. We're just still admitting people. So if you can just bear with us while we get everyone into the meeting, we'll start shortly. If you are staff or a non-participating guest, we prefer that you keep your video off unless you're recognized to speak.
Bank on 1570 Southford Road and okay, I won't do it.
And
You heard that?
hopefully we'll be okay in hearing people, but if we do have trouble, we may mute your phone. So if you're going to speak, check to make sure we haven't muted you. Jerry Sitco. We still have these two phone numbers. Do you recognize them?
No. 909. Now I do. One is Jared Smith. That's a solid.
Yeah, one's in
I don't know who the 410-5029.
410-5029.
Oh, Anthony was our fella.
Anthony, is who?
Our fella.
Oh.
All right, look, why don't we get started and we'll do the pledge and start the roll call and just add people as they come
No, it
in.
was Rich Deacon. I had a lot of, we're good, I think. We don't have anyone else waiting. So with that, Mr. Mayor, you are ready to start the meeting.
Okay, good morning, everyone. At this time, I'm going to call the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments and Central Naugatuck Valley NPO meeting to order. Please rise and join the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag of the United States of America.
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I apologize if I can't see all of you on the screen. We have a lot of people, but I'll read the names and just saying aye. From the city of Ansonia, we have Sheila O'Malley.
Here.
Okay, from the town of Beacon Falls, we have First Selectman Smith. Are you muted? I believe we have him.
You should be unmuted now.
First Selectman Smith, are you on the call?
Yeah.
Okay, I believe we have him on the call. So I'm going to mark him as present for now. We'll check. From the town of Bethlehem, First Selectman Assard.
Here.
Okay, from the city of Bristol, Mayor Zaposasso is going to join us late. Not here, Ellen, right? Okay. From the town of Cheshire, Jerry Sitco.
Here.
From the city of Derby, Mayor Zekin.
Here.
From the town of Middlebury, First Selectman St. John. Is Ed with us yet?
I don't see it.
Okay. From the town of, from the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Pete,
Mayor
you're
Hess,
muted. Here.
we got him. He's there.
Yeah.
From the town of Oxford, First Selectman Temple, welcome.
Here.
Glad to have you, sir. From the town of, from the town of Plymouth, Mayor Merchant.
Here.
Thank you. From the town of Prospect, Mayor Chatfield.
Bobby Chatfield's here on the phone.
Excellent.
Ed St. John's here too.
Thank you, Mr. First Selectman. From the town of Seymour, we have First Selectman Miller. He's actually working while he's on the phone, so he may not speak up unless he needs to, but he is.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you, sir. From Shelton, we have Mayor Loretti chairing the meeting. From the town of Southbury, First Selectman Manville contacted me a short time ago to let us know he would not be making it. From the town of Thomaston, First Selectman Moan.
I'm here.
From the city of Waterbury, Mayor O'Leary could not make it today. He's occupied. From the town of Watertown, I don't believe we. Okay. From the town of Woket, Mayor Dunn.
Here.
From the town of Woodbury, First Selectman Perkinson.
Here.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and for the record today, we are joined by Dan Page from WDC and Zach Keith from WDC, along with their engineer, Anthony Ciarello from Mylona McBroom. They're here for an agenda item. We are also joined by Sarah Radacey, our coordinator from the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Hetty Ayers and Samantha LeBon from Eversource are with us. April Chaplin from the Kennedy Center. Let's see, I believe we have Senator George Logan with us.
Here, hey everybody.
Thank you, Senator.
Hello.
Everyone else's staff, and then we have a guest presenter today, Melissa Kaplan Macy from the Regional Plan Association, joined by her associate, Cass Tebbets, and they are going to make a presentation on the Department of Housing Affordable Housing Plan. They had been bumped several times since the beginning of the COVID event, and we were finally able to schedule them today.
So we're going to take them first then?
Yes, we will go first, and we're going to turn over the screen. Melissa, can you hear us?
I can. Thank you so much. So I can go ahead and get, oh, I have to wait till you're done sharing your screen.
No, yeah, I'm going to stop and you're going to take control of the screen.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you so much for making time for us on your agenda today. We really appreciate it. We won't take too much of your time, but it's great to be here with you. And let me just do this. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
We do.
So I just first thank you for your time today, and it's great to be with all of you. We are trying to get out to as many folks across the state as we can to talk about what we're working on with the Department of Housing on this guidebook, which I'll talk about in a moment. But just to say that we really think the COGs are a tremendous resource for this work and for connecting conversations and just getting feedback. And so we very much appreciate you making space for us today. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about sort of the project, what we're doing, why RPA is working with the Department of Housing, and then really wanted to turn over just to some questions and input from all of you. And as to say that this is sort of the beginning of a conversation, we hope we will continue to talk more with you as we go through the process of developing this guidebook. But just briefly, I'm not sure how many towns are familiar. I think a lot of towns are familiar with the legislation 8-30J, which was passed, I think, last year by the state legislature, which requires all towns in the state of Connecticut to produce an affordable housing plan every 5 years, with the first plans being due this coming spring 2021. But what the legislation doesn't provide is any guidance at all as to what towns ought to be producing. What is in the guidebook. How do you do it? What's the process for developing an affordable housing plan? So that was really the impetus of the conversation between the Department of Housing and Regional Plan Association, was to develop a guidebook. And so it's not a requirement. It's not to say this guidebook is exactly what you must do to produce an affordable housing plan. The intent is really to provide you with just that guidance, that this is a way that you can fulfill the intent of the legislation and produce hopefully will be a very useful document for your town in terms of looking at planning for affordable housing going forward. So I'm just going to talk a second about why RPA, or who RPA is, and why we're engaged in this and why we're excited about this work, and then talk more specifically about the guidebook. So I'm not sure how many folks know Regional Plan Association, but we have been around for almost 100 years, and we do long-range thinking, long-range regional planning for the tri-state region. And I won't read you all the stats are up on the screen, but it covers a pretty broad geography. In addition to sort of the New York metro focus within Connecticut, the work that I do as Connecticut director really is statewide on issues like affordable housing, because it really is something that is really critical to us at RPA, and which is obviously a statewide issue across all 3 states in our region. Like I said, almost 100 years of work in this space since 1922, producing these plans, and just wanted to highlight for you, that our first plan produced in 1929, but our most recent plan in 2017. And one of the areas in that plan, we have sort of 4 buckets, is how we like to talk about the 4th regional plan. We look at transportation systems, we look at climate change, we look at governance, but a really critical piece of the work is making the region affordable for everyone. And that's obviously a very lofty and broad goal. And really the only way that that gets done is working at the local level, working at the regional level with organizations like yours, and then working together with local communities to make that a reality. So that is why I'm very excited by this opportunity to really put together some guidance that is meaningful and helpful to towns to advance that broader goal. And I just want to spend a second, and we can talk more about this depending on how much time we have in the Q&A. Hopefully it's the beginning of a conversation that continues. But when we talk about affordable homes, what we really want to start to convey, if the message isn't clear, already, and I know sometimes this is a very difficult conversation in a lot of local communities, is what that really means. Affordable homes in complete communities where everyone, no matter who you are and where you live in the region, has access to an affordable, healthy, safe home, good schools, safe streets, adequate transportation, good jobs. These are the things that everybody wants and frankly, deserves to have. And how do we create complete communities where there are opportunities for that for everyone? But to get into the specifics, what will this guidebook be like? I just wanted to kind of take us through a little bit what we're thinking, and then to spend a few minutes, if you have some thoughts for us, some questions, we can start a conversation, because we really, we don't have a preconceived notion about what the guidebook ought to be. Obviously, we have ideas based on our experience as to what elements we think would be helpful, but we really want to make sure that this is something useful to all of you and your communities. So we want to create sort of a 2-fold guidebook. One, it's one thing to come up with a plan. We could give you a template, you could fill it in, you could have a plan and maybe, perhaps check off some of the boxes, but even doing that takes time and effort and resources. What we really want to be able to do is go through a process locally in your communities that the plan that you develop means something to all of you, is useful to all of you, so that it's not just for fulfilling a state mandate, but it really is something that helps you, achieve some of your goals that you have for your communities. So the 2-pronged approach that we're looking at is that the guidebook will talk about a process. How do you go about creating an affordable housing plan in your community? Where do you begin? And how do you move that forward? So, we will talk about things like creating a local affordable housing committee. That's a tool, we've talked to folks across the state, and where there's been success in this area, that is, almost always a key part of it. Getting together a group of stakeholders in your community that is folks within government, but also outside government. I think one of the messages we've heard loud and clear is that elected officials really need to feel supported and need support for work like this. It can't be sort of just going out on a limb on your own. You really need to be able to engage with folks who are interested in this issue locally with you and can help provide you with guidance and support as you move it forward. Another way to do that is to get out with surveys, understand, sort of take the temperature of your town, because I know, particularly on this issue, as with many issues, the loudest voices are always the no voices, and there may be a constituency of folks that you don't haven't necessarily tapped into, who are really supportive and interested in this conversation and figuring it out together with you. So that can be very useful. It goes without saying now, but virtual meetings like the ones we're doing now, there's, that we can reach a lot of people in new ways. And people are getting much more used to doing these kind of Zooms. We can actually tap into a broader audience, I think, and engage people who might not otherwise be able to come to meetings in the evening, and just schedule-wise and things like that. We talk about social media and videos and, sort of the package of things you can do to engage, and also, how do you manage conversations online. So we, are anticipating that the guidebook will help also lay that out. How do you have productive conversations on social media, and how do you deal with unproductive conversations? So providing that type of guidance. And then on the plan itself, providing you with a really concrete framework, template that you can use, and you can start to, understand, well, this is what the table of contents would look like. These are the elements of the plan. This is a methodology for getting started. How do you do a housing needs assessment? Because really, how do you plan for affordable housing if you don't really understand or don't have a good handle on the data and the qualitative and quantitative aspects of the need in your town? How do you look at the market? What are your goals? And then what are the strategies and actions that you can take going forward? Because, obviously plans are only as good as their implementation. And we really do want this to be something that, you're able to use, and it's not just an exercise, but it's useful to all of you. So just a couple of things we're thinking about. We'd also like to build out a toolkit. We think, giving you, the process piece and the plan framework, but it would also be useful to, on the implementation side, really be able to advance things. And in order to do that, there's sort of a lot of tools that could be useful. So some things we've been thinking about are a toolkit with visualizations, providing some illustrations and precedents of best practices. What does this really look like? I think having conversations locally is really important for people to be able to see what it is you're talking about. What does it look like in different neighborhood contexts? What are different design options? Providing you also with some model regulations, if you're interested in things like inclusionary zoning or accessory dwelling units, deed restrictions, just giving you some, again, model sample regulations that you can use as a jumping off point. We hope that will be useful. And then we're also thinking about potentially creating some assessment tools, because I think, having a better idea of, really the impacts and the, the outcomes of, what does this mean on tax dollar generation? Will you be able to see, kind of increased local just activity? What is the basic development pro forma for this stuff? Developers come to towns and have a lot of obviously experience and savviness around, their language for talking about development and providing towns with more background, because obviously, a lot of volunteers and folks coming to the table who this is not their area of expertise. So being able to just provide more information there. And finally, a big question that comes up a lot, school children, how many school children will this generate and what does that mean for our towns? Just getting to some of the questions are going to come up with some answers up front, I think can also be really helpful to move this step forward. So I know we don't have much time left. I want to turn it to Cass really quickly to talk about a survey that we're putting together that we hope you will all fill out and that as and push it out to your towns, each of your towns, and then, from the COG perspective, push it out to your networks. We're hoping just to get as much participation as possible, because just talking high level about some of the things we're thinking about, but we really want to dig in and make sure that we're providing something that's useful to you and that you feel, like, oh, yes, that was something I needed. And I filled out the survey and people responded to that and, feeling like this is something that's useful to you that you'll want to use. It's not just something that's kind of provided and it just doesn't feel like it's the right thing. So I will stop there. And Cass, do you want to just talk very briefly about the survey?
Sure, yes. So the survey will be a very brief sort of questionnaire that we hope is applicable to both planners and community members and elected officials alike. And the idea here is that we'll be able to address in the guidebook then the things that you express about the most prevalent challenges in your community, the types of housing that maybe your community members are looking for. So as many people as you can get this out to, it's just going to give us better results and we'll be able to cater the guidebook to exactly, hopefully, what your community needs.
Thank you, Cass. So with that, I'm just going to stop. I know we don't have much more time. We started a few minutes late. I just checked my clock. It's 10:20. I don't know, if we have time for a few questions, and also just to say, we really hope this will be an open dialogue, and you can feel free to reach out to us by email, like Cass said with the survey. But as we go through, sorry.
Okay, I would suggest if anybody had any specific questions that they email them to her or respond back to you, just in the interest of time so we can get through this agenda. Any objection to that?
No.
Do you want to?
Okay, at this time,
If I could, Melissa, thank you very much. We appreciate your taking the time to come in today, and we will forward through staff if we get any requests for information from any of our member towns.
Great, thank you. And just one more, push for the survey. I'll send it out, I guess, to the folks that I was in touch with at the COGS. And if you guys, could help us push that out to all the member towns. And then if you could push that out to your residents and the folks who serve on your commissions and boards, we'd very, very much appreciate it.
We'll appoint someone at NVCOG to work directly with you and coordinate.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
okay, at this time, I'll ask for public comment. Is there anyone that would like to address the board?
We have actually two requests scheduled for the meeting that were requested beforehand. First, we have April Chaplin from the Kennedy Center.
Hi, good morning. I know you have a full agenda, so I'm going to be brief. I just want to make sure that you're all aware. I'm your mobility manager, and I help connect people in all of your towns with transportation. But most recently, I am working on a project with Rick Sebastian. It is a new social enterprise for the Kennedy Center, and it involves PPE, personal protective equipment. I'm sure by this time, many of you who may have been struggling getting masks, isolation gowns, gloves, wipes, sanitizer, may have found dealers, distributors to get you those products. But the Kennedy Center remains poised and does have product right now on site in Trumbull. We have developed a Palm and Able store. It is an online store. While I'm working with Rick Sebastian on this product, the advantage to going through me is that for any place, any relationship that I have already built in the Northwest corner, Rick has given me permission to, on a case-by-case basis, review those orders so that you may not have to pay any delivery charges. We do invite you to go to the website, check it out. I am here as a resource. I can help place the orders for you. Rick, should I just send the information in the chat, my phone number and the website information?
Yeah, sure.
Send it to everybody.
Yeah, you can post it in the chat here, and they can pick it up from there.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I believe we also have, I'm not sure who's speaking, Hetty Ayers or Samantha from Eversource.
Hi, it's Samantha here. Happy Friday. So just quick updates. As part of our efforts to support customers during the challenging time in COVID, we are offering our municipal customers no cost access to the online building operator certification trainings. This is a leading certification program for building operators, and we hope these trainings will help your facility staff learn valuable skills and manage your buildings more efficiently. So I'll be sending out that information that was just given to me yesterday. So you should all get that either this week or next week. And then just a reminder for all Eversource customers, especially residential customers, we have our New Start program that can help eliminate any customer's outstanding balance in as little as 12 months. If you make on-time monthly payments, we'll make up the difference. And then also the matching payment program, where we will match your payments once you're approved through the Energy Assistance Program, SEEP. And for every dollar you pay towards your bill, $1 will be credited to your past due account. So most of you should have received this information yesterday in an email from your community relations specialist, but if not, I can also send that to Lauren to forward along as well. And that's all I have. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I just want to note for the record, we are also joined today by Ellen Graham from Senator Blumenthal's office, Lou Mangini from Representative DeLauro's office.
Okay, so is there intention to speak?
No, just recognizing that they're here today.
Okay, so are we done with public comment, or do we have anyone that would else from the public?
No one signed up through the online system to speak from the public. I don't believe there's anyone else on the line. If there anyone is, please indicate now. It's appropriate to close the public portion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so then we'll move on to item number 2. CNV MPO meeting. 2A, we have a couple of amendments. I guess Gabrielle is going to speak to that.
Yeah, Gabriel Filer, our planner, is handling the tip. We'll address that matter.
Thank you. Today, I'd like to put forth 2 tip amendments in front of the CNV MPO board. And the first one is a project that involves rehabilitating a bridge along Buck Hill Road in Southbury. And this bridge crosses along Interstate 84. And the second amendment involves rehabilitating a bridge along Route 8 in Waterbury. And this bridge would help fund some necessary improvements. And this is an existing project, and we're moving funds over to FY20 so that construction can start earlier.
So moved, Chatfield.
Second.
Motion is made, and who seconded it?
Wolkett, done.
Cheshire, Wolcott.
Cheshire, Wolkett.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any further comment or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, I'll assume that it's unanimous. Motion carries. So this takes us to item 2B, the safety performance measure update. Mark Nelson.
Mark? Mark with us?
He's here. That's fine.
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted already. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
We can, Mark.
Okay, thanks. Brave new world. Anyway, this is a quick heads up or FYI. As you may know, CONDOT is required to set performance targets for 5 safety measures, and that's part of the federal regulations. And we usually get their targets in August, but what this is about is they're looking at changing how they set the targets. In the past, they've been using a moving 5-year average that they feel is resulting in kind of poor results. So what they want to do is to look at it using a regression method that will better account for recent trends. So it's just a quick little update, and just giving you a heads up that they will be changing the methodology. We'll be discussing this more later in the summer, probably at the August meeting, when they actually set their targets, and they'll be asking the MPO to endorse. But I just wanted to let you know that they are looking to modify how they set the targets. And I can answer any questions.
No action is required, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so that takes us to item number 3, NVCOG COG administrative items. 3A, the approval of the May 8th, 2020 minutes.
Motion to approve is presented, Ed Moan.
Is there a second?
Second, done.
Seconded by Donna Wolcott. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Are any opposed? Hearing none opposed, I'll assume that it passes unanimously. Okay, item 3B, the approval of the agency's financial report and summaries for the period ending 4/30/20. Mike?
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can, Mike. Fine.
So we are 83% through the year. The bottom line is currently 113,000. We are projecting a bit of a surplus, basically just due to a delay in planning studies, and that's the non-federal match for PL carryover funds, which will move into the following year to cover the costs or the match. There are no unexpected Reductions in NVCOG's funding source. We did receive 2 new grants. One is the CCF Resource Guide, small and 2,500, but a resilient CT grant for 37,000, which will play significantly into next year's funding. We are also we're projecting about 100,000 from OPM and COVID cost recovery, 65,000 for this current year, and approximately 35,000 for the first 6 months of fiscal year 2021. Any questions?
Yeah, Edmond, go back a page, please, Rick. So while we are in budget overall here, Mike, there are a couple of lines that have exploded. And it looks like we'll be fine throughout the year, or through the year end, I should say. Let me just ask this one question. While there are some that are some line items that are significantly under, and I assume that's how we'll balance out, is there any concern regarding some of those lines, such as legal, exploding through the end of the year?
If I may, the legal items and the computer software item, which is at 143%, office equipment, we're anticipating reimbursements for all of those, the legal from programs that fund individual activities, and the software is related to some of the COVID conversion for remote work, and we anticipate reimbursement on a number of those.
You know, also, if I may, the way these expenses for this fiscal year set up, it's both direct and indirect. However, next year it will be broken out, so you will see the indirect variance. So it's more of an accurate presentation of, you know, will these costs blow our budget, or will they come under?
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else? So I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Motion to approve the budget as presented, financial report, excuse me, as presented. Edmond?
Second?
Second, done.
Okay, seconded by Tom Donald Wolcott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, I'll assume it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item C, we have Rick's report.
Yep. I'm gonna, this will keep it really quickly. Most of this is discussed at the executive board meeting last week. The Connecticut Brownfields Land Bank, if you recall at our last meeting, you approved the form for a memorandum of understanding for providing the services to operate the land bank, and empowered Mayor O'Leary to sign that agreement once it was approved and signed by the land bank board. So the land bank board has met, they've approved it, they've empowered proper officers to sign at their end, and that execution will be going forward. Once that's done, the bylaws of the land bank will change, and then we will visit the need for the COG to appoint the majority of the members of the land bank board. I just wanted to update you on that. It is moving forward. I don't know, Sheila is currently on the land bank board. I don't know if she wanted to comment on that at all.
No, I mean, we look forward to a strong relationship. We're happy that it's that the land bank is going to be with the COG. Rick and Arthur have worked over the years together, many years, successfully. So we're looking forward to more participants. And if you have problem children, brownfields, please send them our way.
Thank you. I should also note that I've already been appointed by the land bank board as the president of that board. So I'm functioning as the president there and executive director here. The only other things I wanted to touch on were, so the salary schedule was reviewed and approved within the existing approved budget by the executive board last week. We leaving some money unexpended, so there's plenty of reserve there. As you recall, we did not raise dues to the towns in this budget, but we will be advertising for a few positions soon to fill out staff, but we're going to work fully within available resources. I'll leave any of the COVID stuff for that item when it comes up on the agenda.
Okay, are you done now, Rick?
I am finished. Mr.
All right, so we're gonna go to item number 4, the regional and municipal shared services. John DeCarlo.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief with this update. 15 NVCOG towns participate in the Household Hazardous Waste Program. As of the new fiscal year, Bristol and Cheshire have left for other options, and Plymouth and Shelton have never participated in the program. So every other town, other than those 4 I just mentioned, do participate in this program. We have 3 household hazardous waste collection events every year. Because of the strict public gathering restrictions that were in place in early April, the first event for 2020 was canceled, but we will be having a collection event at Crosby High School in Waterbury on Saturday, July 18th. We have specific COVID-19 related restrictions in line with the collections our program vendor MXI is currently conducting in Connecticut. The protocols basically limit interaction with residents dropping off the materials, and they include residents have to wear masks, only 1 family member per car. All collection materials have to be placed in the rear compartment of the vehicle, and containers will not be returned. We certainly look forward to the return of our world to more normal collection events, but for July 18th, these are some of what's going to be in place for residents in your towns that participate, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, if I may, John, just one clarification. I know you noted that Cheshire has left the consortium. Do we have an arrangement with an agreement with Cheshire in case some of their residents show up at the next collection?
Yes, we do. We've let Cheshire know that if any of the, because they just came up with this conclusion last week, that if they decide that if any residents come through who weren't aware of the fact that they couldn't participate, we will certainly take them at this collection event on July 18th.
Okay, so that means, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I wanted to know, so that means Cheshire will not be charged for their share of the event, the administrative cost of the event and staging it. But as residents come in, we record what their home address is, and then the towns get billed for the content of the thing. So that's what I wanted to make sure that John, we had arranged with Cheshire, and they're aware that if anyone shows up, they will get a bill for the material.
They are aware of that, sure.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moving along, item number 5, discussion of sustainable CT certification program. Joanna.
Hi, yeah, thank you for this time today. Just want to remind you guys that the Sustainable CT Certification Program, it's a voluntary municipal certification program for towns to get credit for sustainable actions they've already done, and also to get ideas for sustainable actions they could still do in the future. This is the 3rd year that the program has been active, and the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments has now 9 towns that are registered with the program. 2 of them have already established certification. That's Bristol and Woodbury got bronze. And I understand Bristol is going for silver this year, so that's wonderful. And also that what goes along with the Sustainable CT certification program is there's, in the summertime, they hire fellows that provide free help, free assistance to the towns with their applications for certification. So Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments has had fellows in for the last 2 years. And this year we've got 2 new fellows. One is named Hope Marino, the other Anthony Simpatico. And I'd like to just let them have the floor for just a couple moments to introduce themselves.
Okay, hello, my name is Hope Marino, and I'm a rising senior at Fairfield University studying psychology and environmental studies. And this summer I'm working as a fellow at the Naugatuck Valley COG, where I'm gonna help towns recognize for their sustainable practices. And I'm really here as a resource this summer, so if any of you need me, I'm here to help for free. So let me know, email me, thank you.
And my name is Anthony Simpatico. I'm also a rising senior. I study urban planning and geography at the University of Groningen in the Netherlands. I'm from Cheshire, and I'm the other fellow working at Naugatuck Valley. And I'm also here all summer for free if any town needs any help with anything. And if any town wants to sign up, both Hope and I are very eager to help you with that.
Thank you, Hope and Anthony. Welcome. We appreciate having you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, and I just want to say, I've sent out emails to the people that are recognized contacts with Sustainable CT. But if you have any questions about the program, you can contact me and I'll get in touch with Hope and Anthony and also the other staff at Sustainable CT. And I can answer some questions now if you'd like.
Yeah, are there any questions for Joanna? Okay, thank you. Item number 6, NVCOG Planning and Transportation, 6A lot SIP. Approval of NVCOG Resolution 2017.
Good morning, thank you. This is Christian Meyer. I'm going to jump in instead of Karen. This is a project that has built off, it's located in downtown Waterbury. It's the Exchange Place Revitalization Project. From the beginning, it's leveraged parallel investments to achieve broader goals. What we're looking at today is an expansion of the scope, which is really no different, leveraging investment in the Prospect Street surface lot to fully connect the existing infrastructure. Additionally, there'll be some new pieces that will fully realize certain elements of the complete street aspects at the intersection of Grand Street and Bank Street. Also on the line is WDC and their designer, Tony Sorello, if there are any specific questions with the project. And I'm looking for endorsement of resolution 2020-17 as stated.
So moved, Chatfield.
Second, Dunn.
Is made and seconded. Any discussion? Everybody understand what the project is?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye. Ed Moan.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, I'll assume that it passed unanimously. Okay, Christian, you're going to give us a lot SIP update?
Yes, that's correct. I'll keep this high level. Lots of projects is chugging along. We currently, through state fiscal year 2020, we have committed 96% of our programmed funds for the regions or our allocated funds for the region. Of those same allocated funds, we've only expended 40%. We're hoping to move that second number up to get it closer to spending what we are allocated on a year-to-year basis with 5 new projects that we expect to be advertised and started over this construction season, valued at a combined value of roughly $22 million.
It's an update only. Okay, so we're done with that, with the update then. What takes us to item number 7, emergency management. Joanna.
Sorry, guys, my there we go. Okay. All right. Thank you again for taking some time to listen to me today. As a lot of you know, the state has been starting to move from a response to a recovery action item in their, as this public health emergency is hopefully declining a little bit, depending on public health statistics. But the state is really preparing right now for helping those people that really need assistance because they were COVID-19, they had the disease, or people that were affected because of the closures that happened because of COVID-19. So first of all, I want to talk about the local long-term recovery committees. Now, as part of the emergency operations plans that most municipalities, if they put one together, they call for local coordinators to be identified in helping with the recovery efforts after the emergency takes place. At the NVCOG, we've been, along with Dennis Region 5, we've been looking at who has actually appointed someone who's a local coordinator and who that person is and their contact information. We've got a good, for all of our Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments, we've got people identified. And this is something that if it doesn't make sense for your community, that doesn't make sense, that's your call. But the idea with these long-term recovery committees is that there'd be someone that understands what are the unmet needs in that community that need to be addressed. And the COG's role would be helping those communities find the resources at a regional level to meet those unmet needs, or at the local level. And I apologize if I'm jumping into B a little bit, but the regional steering committees, that's being organized through the DEMIS Regional Emergency Planning Team regions. And these are committees that they're based on the response that happened with Hurricane Sandy and the aftermath of helping people with their properties and get them fixed up and whatnot. So what the idea is that the long-term recovery committees that are on the local level work with the regional steering committees. And those regional steering committees would have subcommittees that include people who are experts in their fields. And we're talking about human services and social services at first in the immediate response, let's say in the next 6 months. But as we go on further, we're talking more about economic recovery. So I just want you to know, we had some training yesterday at the state level for all of the regional steering committees. And there's going to be some action pretty soon. And when I say pretty soon, in the next couple of weeks, about getting these regional committees together or starting to talk. But what's most important that for the COG right now is that we start talking with some of your local regional recovery committees. And we'll be starting to reach out in the next couple of weeks on that. I've thrown a lot at you. I first want to open it to Rick and to Mark. Do you have anything that you wanted to add to what I was just saying?
No, Mark and I will take up under item 8 when we get to the COVID update.
Okay, sounds good. Does anyone have any questions for me at this time?
Joanna, this is Lenny from Bethlehem. You'll be reaching out to our local person within the next couple of weeks?
Yes, we've got I'm just looking at the spreadsheet right now. We've got all the people's names and contact information.
Okay, thank you.
You can just transition into me if you want to.
Yeah, we're gonna go right to the COVID-19 update with Rick and Mark Nilsson.
So what I'll do is take it up at this point where Joanna left off. The regional steering committee, even though it falls under the DEMIS coordinator in the Homeland Security regions, the COGs are the ones who really assembled the participants for those. And we're going to really take hold of the process, get these people working in subgroup areas. And I think it was mentioned before, but we've broken it down to labor and education, community and economic development, culture and recreation, and items and government. So as we go through those, our first goal is really to address the unmet needs. And there are two things we're worried about in this. No matter what your overall opinion may be about COVID-19 or the reopening plan, I can tell you that we're concerned about what my colleague Lyle Ray calls the small business extinction event. Undercapitalized mom and pop businesses, which are most of our businesses that provide most of the jobs, are in real jeopardy in the near term to long term. And the other piece of this is really has to do with workers, but it also has a lot to do with business. And that's the ability to provide daycare during this event. In the absence of a vaccine, we are going to be facing, a halving of the number of daycare slots available. That means that most people who make $15 an hour or less or work in other than white collar situations cannot return to work. And those businesses who rely on those types of people cannot reopen fully. So we're going to be working with state organizations like Advanced CT. We have institutional partners and actually even including General McChrystal's group to do the organizing and team leadership for this. But we have to identify and do the things on the ground that can keep Connecticut businesses as competitive and as able to operate as possible until there's a vaccine. The other item that we had on there is a reimbursement of expenses. So I talked a little bit about this earlier. we are we anticipate being compensated by OPM under the same block grant the municipalities are getting. Now, you might have noticed there's $1.3 billion in that block grant. Only about 10% of it was made available to the towns and about 10% of it to state agencies. So a significant amount, and they've only really dedicated about 30% of that money at this point. I take it back, 40% of that money. So the big question is, what's the, the balance of it? What's that $700 million doing? And it really comes down to testing and contact tracing. The state is facing a huge bill as they take down, as we have the ability to test and do the contact tracing for people who are infected. That number is astronomical. I don't think I'm sharing anything out of school, but it's something that's approaching $10 million a week for the state to do the testing and contact
Rick,
tracing.
let me jump in here on that because I think it's a pretty relevant point, for the life of me, but this is government at its best. You have all these people who are unemployed. I don't know why they're not trying to engage some of those people who are unemployed and train them and put them to work.
Yeah. No, I think that is going to be part of the plan. It's a great idea.
Well, you just never know though with government.
Well, I think I can't say who the state is going to engage to actually run the testing and contact tracing, but it's a Connecticut-based, large, nationally recognized health.
Well, early on they were looking for volunteers, and I just chuckled to myself when they did that.
Yeah. No, I think they'll be hiring people to do the field work once the testing starts. And the real problem, every state has it, is gaining access to enough test kits. They can process them, but they can't get the kits to do the work. So that's where the cost is, and that's what a lot of the money is being held back for. I probably said more than I'm allowed to say, but I wanted to make sure you guys had a good picture of what's going on, and urge you. I also want to correct something I said in the executive board meeting. I did make the statement that I thought you were going to get some cost recovery on lost revenue. That is absolutely ruled out under the federal rules. That's something I read completely wrong. I apologize for that misinformation previously. But what we really should be paying attention to, and your finance directors have done a pretty good job. The 10% set aside from that money is based upon the requests and estimates that the town submitted back in May. But you need to stay in touch. There was a good training that Joanne mentioned. Your CEOs can I think pick it up online if they need to, and they need to submit updates to OPM as you go forward, because you're eligible to recoup these costs as they're incurred through December. So keep that in mind as you move forward. With that, the chairman has needed to step out, so either Mr. Moan or Mayor Hess would technically take the chair, but the mayor directed me to just move on into the roundtable for COVID recovery and reopening issues for the board members. So let's get out of the screen and get you all back into the big picture. Mr. Chairman, if you want to take control of the discussion, we do have one other item we need to take up under other after we finish this discussion.
So is Mark back?
No. Mayor Loretti is gone.
All right, then First Selectman Ed Moan, I'll serve for the rest of this. Is there any discussion relative to the COVID-19 recovery, reopening issues? Do any of our First Selectmen or mayors want to have some input here? We open the floor.
Ed St. John from Middlebury. Can you hear me?
Please, Ed.
One of the things I suggest that all of us are facing some very interesting challenges. We were totally unprepared for this thing. I really think that COG should put together a whole subcommittee here to look at this in detail to see how we can do it better going forward and make that information all available to all of our member towns. The other thing that we're dealing with here that we haven't talked about is somewhere down the road here for all of us 19 municipalities, the state well is going to go dry here. I think that the state of Connecticut maybe looking at an insolvency issue out here 3 or 4 months from now when they examine all of their revenues. And I think both our planning agency and all of our community should brace for that. That's going to be the fallout to COVID-19. And the other thing that I would love to discuss too is exactly how all of our police departments are going to address what's happening around the world and what's happening in this great country of ours, and how we can do and perform police functions better. I think this requires some real good committees here to do some work. We're not going to decide it today, but I would strongly recommend that we do that.
Thank you, Selectman St. John. Are there any other mayors or selectmen who would like to comment on this matter and have discussion? Please speak up to be recognized. Anyone other? Hearing none. We'll close the roundtable discussion regarding this matter at this moment, I should say. Moving on, is there anything other, item 9, anything other that
Yes,
anyone would like to discuss or comment on?
Yes, Mr. Selectman, this is Richard Crowther with NVCOG. I have an update on the 2020 census I'd like to give.
Please, Richard.
So in case not everyone knows, the deadline for responding to the 2020 census has moved back to October 31st, 2020. The enumerators who were originally supposed to go out knocking door to door on May 1st are now going to be starting knocking about mid-August. So that should help get all the town numbers up. Currently, Cheshire is winning at 78%. Followed by Oxford and Prospect. If you need any help at all with flyers, brochures, social media, please contact me. I have a whole bunch of resources on our website. Today, Mayor of Ansonia I sent him a script. He'll be doing a robocall. I also made a custom flyer for him to send out in the tax bills.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that.
Welcome, Sheila. So if you need custom flyers to go out in your tax bills, that's a good reminder. And I would say do car tax bills rather than property, because renters will be missed during property tax bills. And that is all I have.
Yeah, I want to thank Richard for the tremendous work he's done on census. But I really want to encourage all of you, whatever you can do in your communities to encourage response rates. This just means so much. What's the number per?
About $3,000 a person annually.
Right. So that's the difference in revenue that comes to Connecticut. For every person we pick up, it means about $3,000 more that we have for federal programs like highways and other programs. So it's really important. Whatever you can do. We do have some of our towns are lagging the state average in response rate, and we want to really push it through the end of this process.
Rick, this is Lenny. Do you have flyers that we could insert in our bills, or do we have to make them up ourselves?
We can work with you on it. We have we printed a whole bunch of things for school systems, and then when schools closed, we were stuck with some of that. We repurposed some of it, but we can produce actual flyers if you give us some quantities. We have a few bucks we could use to get that done.
Okay.
I might suggest, Rick, that you simply send out, and again, if someone wants to, such as Lenny requests the printing of, but at least send out that template to each town or each town's tax collector more specifically, if that can be done. And then individually, we can have that conversation with our tax collectors to have those things inserted in our bills. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing we tell people when we're talking just to average people, if we don't participate out of some, you don't like government or you don't like the government, all you're doing is sending more of Connecticut's tax dollars to places like Oklahoma and Arkansas and Arizona and Florida, because that's what happens. And those are states that perform really, really well on the census. They have those Western and Southern states have really, really strong programs to get response rates up.
Rick, I think we as community leaders are fully aware of the importance of it. That's why perhaps these inserts into the tax bills in some sort of manner which would make people understand the importance would be significant. So is there anyone else, anything other, I should say, at this time? Thank you. With that being said, or hearing nothing other, I should say, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Bye.
So move, let it start. Second by?
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who-
Barbara
Thank
Perkinson
you.
Woodbury.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing
Can't
none,
oppose.
motion passes. Thank you very much all for attending. Hope to see you all in the flesh soon. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you all.